Good evening, Californians. It's May 28th, 2021, and this is Red Star Report. Tonight's theme for voices for the California nation is independence or submission. In what could be a disturbing Calexit comic book style development for an occupied California, if we remain part of the United States, that is, Donald Trump is outlining a new MAGA manifesto for the Republican Party for the 2022 midterms, and very likely for his rerun for president in 2024. The disturbing part, the forward to the past base template for Trump's New America First Republican platform, the undeniable dog whistle conservative 1994 contract with America. To make things both more credible and worse, Trump's teaming up with 1994 contract architect, that's right, white evangelical hero, evolutionary throwback, and sworn enemy of the California Republic, Newt Gingrich, to get it done. Trump and Gingrich met this past week with former corrupt White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and everybody's favorite, Senator Lindsey Graham at Mar-a-Lago, to begin codifying a Trumpified America First platform for the Republican Party on everything from trade, immigration, to criminal justice, referring to it as a policy for 2022 and beyond. How retro catchy is that? When asked about the retrogressive Republican agenda, Newt Gingrich gave a vague but concerning sample list of conservative, totally not 1984 double plus good fascio speak priorities. He said, it should be, which read as sound, positive. It should teach American history for real, as in the whitewashed version that they prefer. It should abolish the 1619 Project, which means denying America's leading role in and the impact and evils of slavery in the country's founding. It should eliminate critical race theory, so deny the very existence of institutional racism in America in the first place. And whatever the Texas legislature is doing, we should bring it on. What the Texas legislators are doing is voter suppression. But this isn't a surprise. In fact, this seems like a match made in blue-eyed white Jesus conservative heaven. Newt's 1994 contract with America focused on attacking minority welfare recipients, politicizing child support in poor communities, tort reform to weaponize the criminal justice system against minorities, and, of course, tax cuts for corporations and the fabulously wealthy. This goes with Donald Trump's anti-immigration, anti-environmental, anti-public school, pro-police brutality, pro-fossil fuel, pro-military industrial complex 2016 contract with the American voter. Just like the Big Mac and fries Trump probably had for dinner just prior to Melania's nightly headache and Marlene Dietrich-style "I want to be alone" impersonation. And it also preaches to the same deranged MAGA faithful as the Trump administration's recently canceled, U.S.-funded yet very white supremacist cherry-picking rewrite of American history outlined in Trump's Idiot Cliff Notes Slavery Apologist edition called the 1776 Report. Not recommended. A 40-page U.S. heroic propaganda document Joe Goebbels would have been proud of. So loaded with plastic, fantastic patriotism stuffed so far up its ass that one university history professor described it as sounding like most of it was lifted from a moldy 1950s McCarthyism-era elementary school book. I don't recommend it, like I said. I like that 15 minutes of my life back. But I do admit it is pitched down to a perfect intellectual point for today's MAGA supporter comprehension levels. No doubt the lesser American would find this piece of historical fiction comfortable and worse, quotable. So what does this mean? Well, if Trump and his mid-century fascistonistas get their way, California has 18 months before the U.S. government grinds to another gridlocked halt. You should know that Trump, California's public enemy number one, has been fundraising with Republican deep pockets donors for months. And if you're paying attention, his hold on the Republican Party has reached cult, if not messianic, status. All this because he knows his future in politics and his personal freedom from prosecution is vested in the Republican Party's success in the coming midterm elections. So, hey, no pressure. For Republicans, the goal for a Trumpian nightmare reboot is just 5 seats in the House and 1 seat in the Senate to clutch and gear grind Congress from D to R. Then they can Obama block Biden, McConnell lock down any progressive legislation or policies California needs for homelessness, climate change, immigration reform, and so on and so on and so on for the next 6 to 8 years if the Republicans can rig it. And let's face it, recent history indicates that they will if they can. They'll give in to the baser political instincts to make white Christo conservatism rule all but permanent in America. As a Californian, you got to look out to the horizon, to the real possibilities Californians will face if Trump, or even a Trumpier fascist, is elected in the coming, you already know it's going to be rigged, 2024 presidential election that conservatives are voter suppression legislating all over the U.S. right now to ensure. And a conservative Supreme Court is unlikely to challenge later. So, if that isn't where you're at, or where you want your children to be, ask yourself this week's Cal Exit question. California independence or American submission? There will be a test on this later. Trust me. And now, over to Shankar Singham for Activism in Action.
Thank you, Hal. Hello, Californios. Shankar Singham here with another Activism in Action Red Star Report exclusive right now, coming from the bowels of the underground in Bellflower, California. I am literally probably about 300 feet below the ground. Just kidding. I'm not really. I'm actually probably 40 feet above the ground. But anyways, coming at you from beautiful Bellflower on a Memorial Day weekend. So let's remember why it's Memorial Day, right? Get it? Remember why it's Memorial Day. So let us remember why it's Memorial Day, okay? Let us remember what Memorial Day really is, okay? That's what I want to talk about today a little bit. But before I get into that, let's talk about the 700 to 1,000 kids in cages in Long Beach. Now, if you recall, I went down to help protest the kids that were locked up in the convention center in Long Beach. Great news. Somehow the citizens of Long Beach, the people of Long Beach saw us out there, maybe saw this video, saw the other news channels that were out there, and realized that they have about 1,000 kids in their backyard sitting there in cages in a big giant convention center, all locked up. Well, they came out in droves, the citizens of Long Beach folks. They came out and gave out backpacks and school supplies and books and toys, and a massive drive. The volunteers, to volunteer, you had to be already a volunteer with the city of Long Beach to volunteer inside the convention center. Those volunteers stepped it up and actually reunited 700 of those kids back with their parents. So now there's only about 130 or 140 kids left in Long Beach, and they have until August until they get transferred over to Pomona Fairplex. Looks like those kids are going to be reunited before that transfer happens. Thank God. Thank you, Long Beach. You are one of the gems of California, always have and always will be. I love that city. It's a unique city on its own. Long Beach, you have my gratitude and the gratitude of every Californian to show the rest of the United States how exactly and what to do with these migrant children. Now, I wish I knew what was happening to the groups of kids that are in New York or in Texas. God help them, please. Hopefully they're not alone still, right? Okay, let's talk about the Memorial Day. In fact, let's remember, shall we? Let's remember January 6th, the insurrection. The day that a bunch of traitors, white supremacists, invaded the capital of the United States. Because they can. Because they're white and they're privileged and they can do what they fucking want, right? So, they attacked the Capitol. Armed. They killed police officers. But to them, today, that was just a busy tourist day. I mark my words. Whew, just heard a nice little boom from Long Beach, right? Yeah, so the hearing for the insurrectionists. So the Congress wants to put together a hearing to find out what exactly happened January 6th, who started it, how come the FBI didn't know about it, how come it got so big and before anybody could stop it, what happened, right? Similar to the 9/11 Commission. This would be the January 6th Commission, I guess, or Insurrection Commission. The 9/11 Commission provided wonderful insight at the end. We really got the whole picture of what happened that day. So why not apply that same concept to January 6th? Well, Republicans don't want to. In fact, they're singing a different tune now. January 7th, they were singing, oh yeah, this is bad, the insurrectionists, they need to be put in jail. But today, they're saying, oh, they're tourists, no big deal, let's move past it. Why? Why exactly? I'll tell you why. Because those involved in January 6th are people that you would not believe are already in power here. So who am I talking about? People of wealth, people in the military, people in the high-end parts of the government that planned that January 6th event. And for some reason didn't have the balls to go through with it once they did get inside the Capitol. But they don't want any of that coming out because they will be incriminated as well. That is a fact, folks. That is an absolute fact. And how do I know this? Because on that, how many police officers were arrested that day? Or have they arrested already from the insurrection? How many military, former military, reserve military, current military, special forces, how many FBI agents did they arrest already? These people that invaded the Capitol, they go high on up into the government. And they knew about this attack. And they're protecting their own jobs, which is why they don't want, the Republicans are blocking this hearing. Period. 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 One senator said that if you look at the video footage of that day, it looks like there's just a bunch of tourists walking around the Capitol. That same senator has video. There's video of him blocking the door with furniture from the insurrectionists, scared out of his life, white, skin as pale as can be. Today he's saying, tourists. This is the United States. This is the United States. What's happening here? You have a gentleman that was carrying the Confederate flag into the Capitol. If you're okay with the Capitol flag, with the Confederate flag, if you're fine with seeing it, fuck you. That flag only means one thing. It means you want slavery or segregation or a civil war. So, fuck you. The fact that man was carrying that flag was an absolute slap to my face and to a face of every non-white person and white people. Everybody should be ashamed of that flag. 1 year since George Floyd. It's been 1 year. This same Congress has done nothing for police reform. And they never will. Why should they? And neither will Biden. Biden won't do anything either. Biden won't do anything about the insurrection. This is the United States, folks. They are rewriting history. In fact, in Arizona, they just stripped the Secretary of State of Arizona of all her power, so they could have another re-election, presidential election, because the Secretary of State wouldn't allow it because she said that these elections were fine. Well, she just got fired by the entire state of Republicans. That same state enacted, I think, 13 new voter laws, making it harder for blacks and minorities to vote. 48 other states did the same thing. Put new voter laws in to make it harder for blacks and minorities to vote. Why? They all claimed that their voting results were perfect. Why make these laws? Couldn't be racism. And then you have the mother of the slain police officer, the one that got hit in the head by the insurrectionist bastards. The mother went door to door to every Republican and pleaded with them to vote yes for the commission to investigate January 6th. Not one Republican voted for it, which is a slap in the face of that poor mother, her son, and entire family. They don't give a shit. And now we come to the next racist Republican. This is, if you're noticing all these instances I'm bringing up, race, it's tinged with race, and that's for a reason. You've got, Lynn Cheney got fired. The third ranking fascist in the Congress, whom I personally do not like, or any lib likes. The Republicans just got rid of her because she said the elections were fair, were done with, and were accurate. She's gone. Cancel culture, right? The purveyors of cancel culture are the grandmasters of cancel culture. Which brings me to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So listen to this, because this is the atypical Republican. This is who you want to be fellow countrymen with. This is who you think is reasonable, who you will be proud to have as your fellow countrymen and American. This is who they are. So me, these people are nothing like me or anybody I know, and their belief system is absolutely just fucking whack. So just let's listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene here plead her case about not tearing down Hitler statues because she would want her kids to see Hitler so she could teach him how evil he was. Right. This whole thing is in context of the Civil War statues being torn down. But let's listen to her reasoning here, the wackiness.
Going into a runoff and voting for me. I also want to say something else. I think that this is a time where our nation is being divided, and we shouldn't be. We should be brought together because this is the greatest country in the world, and we, like the other man was saying about breadcrumbs, I don't think we should be fighting about breadcrumbs. I think we should be working to come together and work further to keep things good and keep peace. We're seeing situations where Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all kinds of statues are being attacked, and it seems to be just an effort to take down history. And whether I see a statue that may be something that I would fully disagree with, like Adolf Hitler, maybe a statue of Satan himself, I would not want to say take it down, but again, it's so that I could tell my children and teach others about who these people are, what they did, and what they may be about. So as a congressional candidate, I just wanted to come forward and make a statement, and thank you all for hearing everyone in your community, and also let voters know where I stand on the matter, because I'm looking to work for everyone here, and I felt like
she's wearing shorts and a t-shirt, by the way.
So thank you very much.
So she needs a statue to teach her kid all about Hitler, because books really just don't do the trick as much as a statue does, right? The stupid and the dumb are taking charge of the United States. Do you want to be part of it? And when the stupid and dumb take control, it inevitably turns to war. And that's what's going to happen, folks. I've already said this. This is all leading up to a civil war, which is exactly what they want, the white supremacists. And they are going to win this war, folks, because they are all pro Second Amendment. They all have their guns. Don't take my guns away, right? Remember, they've been preaching that for years. They've got the firepower. They've got law enforcement. They've got military. They've got government agencies, because they're all peppered all the way on up inside the fabric of the United States. Who does the left have? And like I said before, that civil war, if it happens, it happens. But one place they're not going to take over is right here. They will never take California. California's off the map for them. I would like to see them try. It would be a complete massacre on their side, both intellectually and physically, which probably needs to happen anyways. When that woman in the Capitol got shot in the neck, and then she laid down with that look in her eye of, "Gee, I was joking. I didn't know I would get shot." Yeah. That's what happens. So, folks, that's what I got. This Memorial Day, remember, racism. And now, look at your country. That's all I got for you, folks. You have a wonderful barbecue day. Remember to barbecue your ribs or your beef or whatever you're going to barbecue for Memorial Day. And then remember to have your California barbecue, which consists of carne asada and some beer and some tortillas and some beans. You know what I'm talking about. You gotta queue up some carne and have your California barbecue set to go. All right, folks, that's what I got. Be vigilant. Watch out. Nazis are abound. They are abound, folks. Stay tuned. The Red Star is expanding and getting a. We got some big things coming up. I can't wait. You'll be hearing about them soon. You guys take care. Have a wonderful Memorial Day.
Thank you, Shankar. It's time now for Talking Points. For Talking Points tonight, let's start off with Florida man signs Trumper tantrum legislation to punish California-based social media platforms who remove fascist political candidates from their sites. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday, May 24th, signed a law to give Florida the power to penalize California social media companies for deplatforming policies designed to reduce violence and racist internet political content. Note, Red Star Report is still here. Conservative legislatures across America have introduced laws, lots of laws, targeting media platform moderation practices. But this is the first of its kind in the nation signed into state law. And it may be a model for other red states with an axe to grind against California to follow, even though the law violates the First Amendment. According to DeSantis, California's Silicon Valley elites, at companies like Facebook and Twitter, are trying to silence, intimidate, and wipe out dissenting voices. Really? Shut the fuck up. In practical terms, the new Florida state law tries to tell California tech giants that if conservative political candidates publish violent or racist content that violate company rules, the California companies will be fined $250,000 a day, or especially if they cancel the accounts. Because Florida, by the way, Florida Republican legislators include an exception in that law for Disney. Surprise. Talking point. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Heard this before? Corporations, companies, and businesses are under no legal obligation to provide services to people who willingly violate stated company policies. This is a Republican talking point. You're Florida. Go ask a gay couple about Christian bakeries and wedding cakes if you need a reference. That being said, how does Florida man plan to enforce this new oh-so-scary law if California tech giants, with their armies of lawyers and whose net worth pretty much outstrips Florida's entire GDP, decide to ignore it? When California Democratic, Libertarian, and industry representative groups agree this conservative butthurt is just Florida's scheme to violate the First Amendment rights of California companies to decide how to handle the content on their own private platforms, lawsuits crushing this DeSantis waste of time are inevitable, and the policy is likely to lose in the courts. Speaking as a proud Californian, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Why do conservatives always think that the rules apply to everyone but them? Florida legislatures have zero right to tell Californians or their companies what to do. Ever. Florida fascists don't like it? Hey, I hear Parler is still a thing. Moving on, talking point number 2 for tonight. In Washington, D.C., congressional lawmakers blew up President Joe Biden's Tuesday police reform deadline. That would be the 1-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder by killer cop Derek Chauvin, and it passed with Congress failing, like on gun control or climate change, to find common ground with an obvious and long-standing institutionally embarrassing issue. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi shrugged off the deadline and I guess a year's worth of pointless U.S. House negotiations on what should have been a light switch decision by saying, I'm not a timetable person. Senate talks remain deadlocked over qualified immunity, which is the political sticky point that stalled the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act back in March. Which would also have banned chokeholds, no-knock warrants, and create a national data bank of police misconduct, even as it glaringly ignored the issue of the ongoing availability and use of militarized training, tactics, and equipment by police forces against minority communities and American civilian citizens in general. And now some congressional Democrats have said they're willing to put qualified immunity back on the table to get Republicans back for more talks. Meaning we Californians can get ready for yet another federal government symbolic gesture or a same-o, toothless incremental change piece of legislation that will get big press coverage and do absolutely nothing. Because 50 years after Martin Luther King died, that's just the best the U.S. government ever does on civil rights issues anyway, right? Talking point. What's the national problem with admitting that Black Lives Matter? That ultimately killing a human being over a traffic stop or a cigarette is just fucking wrong. Why does it even take a year of negotiating to fix shit that is this obvious? Pew polls show 45% of even U.S. Republicans, as well as 84% of Democrats, support changes to policing laws. George Floyd's death ignited massive national and global protests. So it's not even just we Californians. The entire world knows this is wrong. So again, what's America's problem? Really? Stupid question. As long as California remains part of the United States, the federal laws Californians have to live under will be made by a lot of people Californians don't vote for and who don't answer to us in any way, shape, or form. We'll also have to deal with lobbyists from out-of-state donors. We already know this is the way it is. We see it all the time. A Kentucky senator from a state whose entire population is half the size of Los Angeles. A North Carolina congressman whose state capital is smaller than Bakersfield. Actually, it's smaller than Rancho Cucamonga. And in this case, a bunch of federal legislators that come from 11 different states where their entire African-American populations couldn't sell out Levi's Stadium for a 49ers game. So why should they really care if Black Lives Matter or any other thing Californians might hold as California values? Again, tonight's theme, independence or submission. That's your Cal exit question for tonight. Think on it. This is Red Star Report, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. That's it for this week. Check out our website, www.redstarreport.com. Transcripts of talking points will be posted there. Also, be sure to subscribe to our Red Star Report YouTube channel. Go find our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc. Because if you want a real California independence movement media group, it's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you, to all our Red Star Rebels for watching. Have a great weekend. We are Red Star Report.